Hey there, this video is an introduction to the concept of limits, an important concept as you get started with the study of calculus. Now, it's been a while since I took first year calculus, but I remember back then we dove right into finding limits and learning all these different techniques for finding what they were, but I don't know that I could have told you what I actually was finding, what it meant. So as we get started with calculus here, the first thing we're going to focus on is a more of a conceptual understanding of what are we really talking about when we're talking about limits of functions. We'll look at things a variety of ways, graphically, numerically, and algebraically. And then later, in later videos and study, you can get to working with techniques and specifics and applying things. All right? In calculus, the concept of a limit is fundamental to understanding much of what you do. You can't emphasize this enough. The limit of a function can be thought of as the behavior of the function values, or in other words, the y values, as x approaches a specific value. In other words, when you're looking at the limit of a function at a specific value, looking at what happens to the y values as x gets closer and closer to that particular value. For example, if you look at a function like 2x plus 3, and you looked at the limit at any particular x value, such as 4, you would say that the limit of f as x approaches 4 is 11, because as x gets closer and closer to 4, as you substitute in numbers that are closer and closer, you get values that are closer and closer to 11. Now, we're going to look at this graphically and numerically to get a better sense of what this really means. So looking at this numerically and graphically, and let's just write the equation down here again so we know what we're dealing with. Y equals 2x plus 3. Graphically and numerically means with a graph and with a table. And this will give us an idea of what's going on. We know that at 4, when you substitute in 4, the value is 11. You've done that lots of times before, so I won't bore you with the details of that here. But what we're interested in is what happens as we choose x values as they get closer to 4. So from one side and from the other side, above and below 4. So I've put numbers in the table here that are progressively closer and closer and closer. And then as that happens, you see that the y values progressively get closer and closer to 11. When you look at the graph, you take the value 4, of course it's 11, but the same thing is true here. If you look along the x-axis, as you pick values closer and closer to 4, you're going to get values closer and closer to 11. That's what that line shows you. So let's put some of this in writing here. We saw that as x gets closer to 4 from both sides, y gets closer to 11. Or you say that the limit is 11 as x approaches 4. With symbols, the way you write that is the limit as x approaches 4 of f of x is 11. You may have never seen that notation before, but you will become very familiar with it. We'll move on to look at it a little bit more formally right now. We can look at a definition and notation for limits now that we've looked at that initial example. What you say when you read this notation is the limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to L. And what that means is that as x gets very close to a from both sides of a, then the function value gets very close to or equal to L, the y values. Another way to think about this is that limits have to do with the behavior of a function near given x values. To illustrate this, we're going to look at this function, y equals sine x over x, and we're going to look specifically at what's happening around 0. And the reason for that is because this function is undefined at x equals 0. And the reason for that is that denominator there, x, you can't divide by 0. In terms of limits, what we're going to look at is the limit of sine x over x as x approaches 0, or written with the notation like that. To start with, we're going to look at the limit of this function at 0 graphically. We're going to use Desmos to create this graph, so we're going to put in here y equals sine x. Before I put in the over x, let's just have a look at a graph you're certainly familiar with, the sine graph. It has a maximum of 1, a minimum of -1, starts at 0 and goes up and down and fluctuates between 1 and -1. No matter how far you go here, that's what happens. Before we change to our graph of sine x over x, I want to show you how you can change the settings for this graph. When you're working with trig graphs, often it's useful to change the scale on the x-axis. Instead of having it as integers here, I'm going to change it to in terms of pi. And the way you can do that is you go under graph settings, this wrench up here, and you go to where the x-axis is, over to step. If you put a pi in there, it'll change it. You'll see. So you got to go under this keypad that's built in and find the pi, which is right there. If you put that there, now you'll notice that you have 2 pi there, -2 pi there, and so on. And then as you change this, that'll change accordingly. Another thing I want you to realize that you can do with Desmos here, obviously you know you can change the size of the graph. On a phone, you just take your fingers and sort of move them together or apart. On a computer, what that is just rolling your mouse wheel if you want to change the dimensions of the graph. But sometimes I don't want to do both dimensions at the same time, and that's what that does. When you use your fingers or the mouse wheel, it just changes both scales at the same time. And that's not what I want to do here. What I want to do is make it taller, spread this out vertically, and then maybe change the scale, compress this a little bit more. And how you can do that on the computer is you can hold down the shift key, and you notice then it turns an axis blue when you hover over it. And what that means is now I can drag this axis, and now I'm changing the scale horizontally without changing it vertically. You're seeing more cycles of that graph there. And then if I wanted to stretch this out this way, I could stretch it out by doing the same thing, holding the shift key and then hovering over the y-axis and dragging it that way. On a phone, the equivalent of that is putting your fingers right on the axis and it turns blue, your 2 fingers, and just spreading it apart or compressing it together along there, either the x-axis or the y-axis. Now, I'm going to put in our sine x over x, and you're going to see here that it looks quite different. And it has a maximum of 1, just like sine x does, but it doesn't have a minimum of -1. And in fact, as you go to the right or the left, these waves look like they're getting less and less and less. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is you're taking those values that you had for your sine graph that fluctuated between 1 and -1, and then you're dividing it by the x value. And as you go to the right or the left, the x value gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so you're dividing by a bigger and bigger thing. You're having values that are between 1 and -1 divided by numbers that are bigger and bigger, and the result is smaller and smaller. It fluctuates still because the top number is fluctuating, but the bottom is just getting bigger. But that's a subject for another day when we look at this graph in more detail, what happens as you go to the left and the right. What we're interested in now is what's happening around x equals 0 here. So I'm going to go back and change this scale back so I spread it out a bit like this, so that I can really kind of focus on what's happening right there with this x value of 0. So what I'm going to do is start by putting a point on here and then seeing what happens. So it sure looks like this passes through this point 0, 1, but we said that that function is undefined there. Now Desmos doesn't always show you places where functions are undefined. You have to kind of discover it for yourself, which we will in a second here. If we put a point on here and we start moving it towards 0, so we're having smaller and smaller x values there, and we're moving towards 0. From the right side, as x gets smaller and smaller, the y value sure looks like it's getting closer and closer to 1. And on the other side, the same thing here. If we put a point on there and we go closer and closer here, the x value is negative, but it's getting closer and closer to 0 from the left side. And similarly, that y value is looking like it's approaching 1. But this function is undefined there. So what you find is if you go right to here, you find that it's undefined. And even though Desmos doesn't display that automatically, when you click on the point that is undefined, it shows it correctly as, well, they write 0 undefined. And that means there is no function value there. how you would draw it on a graph is exactly like that, with that open circle to say that it's missing. But when we're talking about the limit, we're not talking about what's happening at that point, the fact that it's undefined. What we're talking about is what's happening as you get near that point. So as you get near the x value of 0, the y values up here are getting near 1. As you approach from the right side, as the x values approach 0, the y values approach 1. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about limits. It doesn't have anything to do with what's happening at the point. At the point, it's undefined, but as you approach the point, the y values are headed for 1. Let's go look at the graph and a table that we can write on and talk about a few more things. So there's the graph that we saw, although I've drawn it here with that open circle at the top to say that it's undefined there. What we saw is that as the x values got closer and closer to 0, the y values got closer and closer to 1. You see it in that graph. And in the table are some of the values that we saw as I was dragging the point along the graph. And what you see there too is that as those x values get closer and closer to 0, the y values get closer and closer to 1. Like these two y values here are about as close as you can with the accuracy I've got in this table. And even though it's undefined there at 0, it's pretty clear the y values are approaching 1 from that table. So we'll put some of this down in writing. From the table and graph, it appears that y approaches 1 as x approaches 0. Or using limit notation, you say that the limit of sine x over x as x approaches 0 is equal to 1. And we'll emphasize again here, it's important to note that this is true even though there is no function value at x equals 0. The limit has nothing to do with how the function is defined at the point. Now we're going to look at 3 other related functions to emphasize that point. Now we're going to look at 3 functions that are related but not exactly the same to emphasize the idea that the function value and limit are not always the same. First function of this group we're going to look at is x squared minus 1 over x minus 1. And the interesting thing about that is that it has this denominator, x minus 1, which means that 1 is a non-permissible value here. In other words, x cannot be 1. Now, we're not going to graph this by using Desmos again. We're going to do a bit of algebra so that we can see what this is equivalent to. If you factor the top, you can write it as x plus 1 times x minus 1 over x minus 1. And then you can actually cancel those common factors, and it simplifies to just x plus 1, except we got to include this restriction of x cannot be 1 here. And so what the graph is going to look like is it's going to look like that straight line, y equals x plus 1, except there's going to be a missing value, an undefined point, that hole in the graph at 1. But despite the hole, we can look at the behavior of the function as x gets closer from both sides to 1, the y values get closer and closer to 2. Now, using the language of limits, we say as x approaches 1, y approaches 2, with those arrows meaning approaches. Or we can write the limit as x approaches 1 of that function f of x is 2. And again, this is true even though the function value at 1 is undefined. And we'll look now at a related but different function, and that is this one here, which is a piecewise function, in that it has this piece that applies for that part of the domain, and this piece for that part of the domain. Because the first piece applies everywhere except 1, and the second piece applies at 1, there are no non-permissible values for this function. And the first part of this graph is just the same as what we had above. And then the second part is going to be just a single point that it's defined at. And so what the graph is going to look like is it's going to look like that. The same graph as above, that line with the hole in it, but with the second piece 1, when x is 1, you have that dot that is separate. But even though the function value at 1 is 1, as x gets close to 1 from either side, the values get closer and closer to 2. It doesn't matter that the function value is different there. So we would say that as x approaches 1, y approaches 2. Or with limit notation, the limit of g of x as x approaches 1 is 2. And that's even though the function value g of 1 is 1. It's entirely possible to have a limit that's one thing and a function value that's another. The third of these related functions is just h of x equals x plus 1, which is, of course, just a straight line like that. And in this case, it's still true that as the x values get closer and closer to 1, the y values get closer and closer to 2, just like the other ones. So in this case, the same thing here. The limit as x approaches 1 of h of x is 2. And for this simple function, of course, you can see that the function value h of 1 is also 2. So in this case, those two things are the same, but as you saw above, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. And just to reiterate the point here, even though the function values are different for each of these three functions at 1, for the first one, you remember that f is undefined at 1. There is no f of 1. And for g of 1 is 1, and h of 1 is 2. So the functions are all defined differently at 1, but they all behave the same near 1, which we wrote with limit notation. The limit of h of x as x approaches 1 is 2, the limit of g of x is 2, and the limit of f of x is 2. They all have the same limit, even though the functions are defined differently at 1. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of the concept of limits before you start working with them in a more abstract and theoretical way.